Alright, so I'm a top 2% producer with 126 million streams and 9 top 50 records. In this video, I'm going to break down what I did to get ahead of 98% of producers and how you can do the same thing going into 2026. So there's essentially 3 steps that we're going to be covering. Step 1 is to set a goal. Step 2 is to reverse engineer it. Step 3 are some actions and planning. And if this sounds confusing, don't worry, it's all going to make perfect sense as we go through this video. Now, the first things that I want to cover are some problems. These are problems that I have or had, and these are problems that I see a lot of producers have as well, and that's why I want to cover them. Now, the biggest problem that I've seen for myself and other producers is that we have no clear vision of what we actually want to accomplish. And when you have no vision, you have no idea where you want to go, then how can you ever figure out a way to actually get there? I didn't know where I wanted to go. I just knew that I wanted to be quote unquote successful, but I had no idea of what that actually meant. When you have no vision, what ends up happening is that you just take random action. And when you just take a bunch of random action, you get very random results. What random action looked like for me was just like posting on YouTube, posting on SoundCloud, then doing a bunch of memes on my IG. And I was just doing a bunch of random things, hoping that some of them would actually stick and work. And because of that, I actually made zero progress for almost 3 years. It wasn't until I got a clear vision and I took focused action towards that goal that I started getting focused results and actually made some real progress and could start doing this full time. Now, before we get into the steps, if you feel like you need more help and you don't want to figure this out all by yourself, then I actually have a free community for trap producers where people are in here getting sales, getting wins, and I'm in there every day helping out for free. So you're very welcome to join that if you're serious about producing full time. The link is going to be in the description if you want to join. Now back to the actual video. So step 1 is that you want to set a goal. And the way that we do that is by first of all just thinking like, okay, what's the goal? And then we want to set a clear and tangible goal. And the way that we're going to do that, I'm actually going to open up a doc so that you can follow along how I would think about this. So let's write down goal. And I really recommend like doing this for yourself. So write down goal. Then you can make 3 subheadings, which is what. First thing that you want to figure out is what do I want? What's the goal? Then you want to figure out how. So through what mechanism, through what measures will I actually get there? Then when? When do I want this to happen by? So the first thing is the what. Now what can be pretty easy. So we want to make it clear, we want to make it tangible. For example, I have an example. This is actually a goal I made for myself. I actually ended up going above it. But I want to make 5K a month through placements in January 2027. That's like the full goal. So then it's like, okay, what? I want to make 5K a month. Let's add a little $sign there. Boom. That's the what. Then we want to figure out the how. Okay, how will I do that? Well, through placements. And then when? When do you want this to happen by? January 1st, 2027. Boom. And then you can just write it out as a full-on like goal statement. Actually, I'm lazy. I'm just going to copy. Make 5K a month through placements by January 1st, 2027. Boom. That's your goal. Now, you want to start reverse engineering it. So I'm going to just engineer. Boom. Now, what do I actually mean by that? Well, you want to think through 2 questions. So let's start with question number 1. Question number 1 is that you want to think like, okay, what needs to actually happen if I want to hit my goal? So for example, one thing that could be true is that you want to sell 5 beats a month at 1K. Like if that happens, then you have hit your goal, right? Or you can also have 5 songs a month streaming 1 million with a 20% royalty cut. Because 1 million is roughly 5K, and then you have 20% royalty cut with that, and that means that you're going to be making 1,000 per per 1 million streams of the songs that you have. And of course, like this depends on who you work with, but this is definitely possible, especially with more independent artists who are actually streaming. But that's up to you and where you decide to go. But essentially, let's say this is my what needs to be true, or what needs to happen. So in order for this to happen, I know that I need to have 5 songs a month streaming 1 million every month with a 20% royalty cut. Cool. And that's actually a little bit more because you have the publishing royalties and all of that, but let's just, for simplicity's sake and for this example, keep it like that. So I need 5 songs that do this. Okay, cool. That needs to be true, or that needs to happen. Now, you want to think, okay, what needs to be true in order for that to happen? So the first thing is that if I want this, if I want 1 million streams with 20% royalty cut, I need to work with big independent artists, for example. Now, in order to work with bigger independent artists, I need a strong brand. So I'm gonna just type it down. What needs to be true? Then strong brand. All right, I need a strong brand. So how do I get a strong brand? Well, I need a good looking Instagram page. So I need to make content for IG so that my Instagram looks good, so that people see my page and they're like, okay, cool, I want to work with this guy. Nice. Then I also need placements. Now, in order to get placements, I need to send my music out. So placements, send music, that's what I need to do. Then, in order to have somebody to send music out to, I need to know artists, producers, and of course managers, because those are typically, engineers go under this umbrella as well, but we can just simplify it down to artists and producers for now. So I need to know artists, producers, and the way I get to know these people is through outreach and networking. Reach plus networking. Then lastly, I need to make great music, because how else would these people actually pick my beats and use them? So I need to make great music, and in order to do that, I need to spend time making beats. So great music, spend time making beats. So if we look at this, we can see that all we need to do to reach this goal is to spend time making beats. Then we need to do outreach and networking. Then need to send music to the people that we're outreaching and networking with. And then we also need to make content so that we can successfully outreach and network. Boom. That's literally all the actions we have to take and the only things that we need to focus on in order to hit this goal. All right, cool. Now, last thing is to actually structure out these actions and create a repeatable cycle that you can repeat day in and day out so that you can actually hit this. So now I'm going to get into some actions and planning. So in your doc, you can just write down actions and planning. Boom. Then when it comes to actions, there's basically 2 types of actions. We got one-off actions and ongoing actions. One-off actions are things that you do once and then it's done. So for example, set up a PRO, create an Instagram page, etc., etc. Those are one-off tasks. So then you can just write down whatever you're thinking are the one-off tasks. So it can be, well, set up, also make a little headline, one-off, boom, and ongoing. So let's start with a one-off. It could be set up a PRO. Then what else? Yeah, let's say you don't even have an Instagram. Create an Instagram. Register songs. Could also be a one-off task. Of course, there's going to be an element of ongoing to this, but it's not something that you're going to be doing daily or perhaps even weekly. Then we want to look at ongoing. So ongoing tasks are things that you need to do each and every single day. So for example, reaching out, making beats, taking sessions. These are examples of things that you need to do every single day. Now, We want to write down the one-off tasks and ongoing tasks in a checklist, just like we've done here. And then we want to make each task quantifiable. And then when you're figuring out these tasks, just look at the things that you figured out here. So like, what needs to be true? I need a strong brand. All right, cool. So I need to make content. So then we can make a little headline here, content. Then we need to send music. Then you need to do outreach and networking. So I'm gonna just put down networking. And then we need to make music, make beats, boom. So here we got the like 4 big buckets of tasks that we need to get done. Now, the next thing is that we break them down one step further. So for content, let's say that we make one content piece a week, once a week. So you make content once a week. Now, you want to break down every single step that you have to take in order to make one piece of content. And for me, it's like, when I speak of content, like I'm no content creator, as you can see by my minimalistic setup. I'm definitely no content creator, but what I've done and what I still do is like, content for me is taking a nice picture and uploading it. Like going to the studio, taking some pictures, and then doing like a beat slideshow. Like that's content for me. But essentially what you want to do is that you want to, first of all, figure out content ideas. So find 5 content ideas. Once you have 5 ideas, you want to capture one piece of content. So you come up with 5 ideas, you pick one of them, then you capture one piece of content, whether that's filming you in the studio, whether that's just taking pictures, or if that's screen recording the beats together with the pictures, whatever. But you capture one piece of content, and then lastly, you just post one piece of content. So whenever you're doing these things, you can literally just look at this checklist and then be like, okay, what do I need to do? Okay, I need to find 5 content ideas. All right, boom, done that. All right, now I need to make one piece of content. Done that. Then, okay, I need to post one piece of content. Boom, done that, done. Then you know that you've done what you need to be doing for content this week. Then we have send music. All right. So send music. Like listen through beats, pick 6 beats. Or if I'm actually doing this, it would be listen through artist music. So for example, the artist that you want to send beats to, or producer, or whoever, listen through the artist music, pick 6 beats that fit, then send through text if you want to do that, or mail. Boom. There you go, and you know that once you've done this, you have moved one step closer to your goal. Next is networking. So for networking, first thing that you want to do is that you want to find, and let's say you want to find 25 artists, find 25 producers, then you can just go ahead and do that. Then you want to DM 50 people. Then you want to DM 50 people. Boom. That's your networking done. Then lastly, you of course want to make beats. And when I make beats, I like to listen to music first. So then I'm going to make it quantifiable so that I can actually count the actions that I'm doing. And that way it becomes a repeatable process that you can do over and over again. So make beats is like listen to 10 songs, for example. Then you make 5 beats. Boom. Here is the actions. And I know that, because this is what I did, literally, and I know that if I just do this, I'll be able to see success. Then, of course, as you go along, you might want to add things. You might also want to remove things. You might notice that something isn't needed, then you remove it. You might notice that you need like something for sessions or whatever, you add it. But by having a dock like this, you're able to set up all the tasks and the necessary tasks that you need to do on a consistent daily basis and actually stay consistent with it so that you can start seeing the results. Now, last thing, speaking of consistency, the last thing that we want to do is that we want to plan these actions out. And I highly recommend using a calendar. Typically I use my Google Calendar, but for this example, I'm going to be using my Apple Calendar. So let's clear it out. There we go. So let's say you work your 9 to 5. You work 9 to 5. Boom. That's your work. You just block it out. You know that you're not going to be able to do shit. Then you have here, you get home from work, you chill a little bit. Then from here, you're feeling super creative. So you want to do some beat making. So now you just figure out like, okay, I want to make beats here. How long would it take me to make 5 beats? Let's say you're super fast. You only need 3 hours to make that happen. So then you literally block out 3 hours in your calendar. 1, 2, 3, boom. And you name it making. And then you know that in this block, when you got this block, you want to go ahead and just listen to 10 songs and make 5 beats. Boom. So then you also want to block out a time for outreach. Let's say you do this, then you want to take a little break, and then you need about 1.5 hours to do the 25 outreaches. So do that, name it, outreach, boom, and that's your outreach block. Then you literally just follow this every single day. And then let's say that you want to send stuff out, you make a little block for that as well, send stuff. And you have 50 minutes for that, so you know that every day you just want to go through and send stuff. And by the way, like the actual timing of this, that's up to you and what you feel you need. So that's something that you'll essentially have to find out, fuck around and find out as you do these things. And then when it comes to content, it's like once a week, cool. If you have tasks that you know take more time, put them on your off days. So when you need a little bit more time, because as you can see, the calendar got pretty filled up. That's what happens when you work a 9 to 5, like you have less time. But then you can spend very focused time on the things that you're supposed to do. Doesn't need to be more complicated than this. This is literally all the actions I took. If your goal is to do this, then you can just spend your time doing these things. And when you have it all laid out like this, it doesn't seem so overwhelming anymore. And the goal seems even closer than before. And you know that all you have to do is just do the daily inputs so that you can get the outputs. And if you know what you want, what you need to do to get there, and how to do it, you'll eventually get there.